Over the past 14 days, I've had one of my key members of my team quit on me after asking for a raise, and we were in the middle of a conversation about what that might look like, and they gave me a 9-day notice that they're probably going to be leaving by next Saturday. And this is the person who manages like 100 clients for me, and they told me in 9 days they're going to be gone. I had another person who I hired to expand our capacity on Mondays and Wednesdays. It's just time we needed people to be there. Just stopped showing up to work all of a sudden one day. And while he's not showing up to work, he sends an email and says, I'm not going to be in for the rest of the week. And then the next day he sends an email and says, would you guys be a reference for me for another job that I'm applying for to work inside of the school district? So he's sending us reference to that. He's like, reference me for another job while I'm not working at the job you hired me to do. And then a couple of days later, I watched one of my clients who was a small boy almost physically assault his nanny. As the nanny was recording him to show how bad his behavior was, he takes his hand and just smashes the phone out of her hand. And this is a client that we knew we should have offboarded a long time ago, but that leader, the one who gave me the 9-day notice, failed to offboard that client. And so my instructors are having to deal with this behavioral change. And despite saying all that, I still have one of the best places to work and one of the best small businesses to actually be a part of. We have 100 plus clients. We have the 5-star reviews, but I wanted to share that with you because I'm studying from emotionally healthy leadership. There's 2 chapters. One of them is on endings and new beginnings, and the other one is on power and wise boundaries. And so just by show of hands, as I share those stories, who here has had to struggle with setting boundaries with either coworkers, clients, employees? Anybody come to mind? Like, I have to set a boundary, but it's a little bit challenging. Yeah. So the only thing I wanted to share today was just one revelation. This isn't anything new. This is just a simple reminder for you. So if you have someone in mind, this actually might help a little bit. But I want you to really think of someone that you're struggling to set boundaries with as I share with you something that you already know. Each person, and I'm going to go through the 3 examples, each person that I've had to set boundaries with, they have a mom and dad. Mom and dad. So the student who's taking his hand and smashing the phone out of his nanny's hand, mom and dad were not setting any boundaries at home. And so when he came into our center, there was virtually nothing we could do to control his behavior. Even though we tried to offboard that client multiple times, mom and dad kept promising that the behavior is going to improve, but it really didn't. And so my job to love this student well was to return mom and dad, like help mom and dad show up to their own problem, right? A lot of what you're trying to do in setting boundaries is really just helping people show up to their own problem and not solving it for them, right? And that's what love looks like. We think love means allowing someone to continue to abuse us, but sometimes it's actually giving them their problem back in the safest, best way possible and asking them to show up for it. In the case of, so everyone also has a boss. And in our day and age where authority is being challenged a whole lot, we don't like hearing that we have a boss that sets rules for us, but work is spiritual formation. Work forms you into a type of person. When you're at your job, you're rewarded for things like honesty, or rewarded for things like creativity or innovation, or maybe you're rewarded for things like being underhanded or unethical. And that begins to form you into a type of person. So as a boss, whenever I had to fire the employee who didn't show up but was sending me references for other jobs, I was trying to help show him that what you're doing is unacceptable. And now I have to give you your problem back for you to solve. It will be wrong of me to not give you that feedback. Lastly, we have the government or, policing system. This is a hard one because by the time you start interacting at this level, when it comes to power and wise boundaries and authority, you might be in a little bit of trouble. It might be in a more disciplinary kind of way, but I believe they're set here for our goodness. No matter what faith base you are, there's some sort of a church or religious institution. There's leadership there. You have, if you're married, close friends, family, wife, something like that. And then lastly, friends. And here's what I learned over the past 14 days, is that I am not supposed to be all of this to my clients. I'm not supposed to be their friend. They need me to be their boss. They have 4 or 5 different friends. They only have one boss that can tell them what you're doing is unacceptable, and then there's consequences for it. For the student, I'm trying not to say names, but for the student, I cannot be mom and dad to you. I can be a fatherly voice in your life. I could be a fatherly voice in your life. I could be a friendly person, but I am not your friend, nor am I your mother and your father. You need to have those relationships well established in your life. I have one role in your life as a boss or an employee or an employer, and my job is to love you well in that way. And so for those of you who are struggling to set boundaries, I want to invite you to take a more holistic view of this person that you're struggling to set boundaries with. Help this person show back up to their own problem. Help these people show back up to be a good friend and be a good mom and be a good dad. And don't feel like you have to be the discipler and the best friend and the mom and dad and all the other things. Stay in your lane and just be encouraged that even if you're not the one to solve the problem, these other people have some sort of responsibility to do that. So thank you.